My name is Jeremy Walton, and we're going to talk about what cameras match RED and ARRI. Let's go! I thought I'd do a video about matching cameras because over the years I've seen countless conversations, either here on YouTube or different forums, about people being worried if they can match camera A to B or different lenses from different brands. I know most of you have definitely seen the very popular videos about $50,000 cinema cameras trying to match smartphones. It really does pop up a lot and seems to get a lot of interest. Now there are shades of gray in this area because lighting, different situations, budget, platform all come into play. I'm going to let you determine those factors and what fits your needs. But when people ask, can I match these two cameras or these two lenses? My answer is almost always, yeah. And here's why. Hollywood has been doing it for a long time. I've been on plenty of sets where the main unit was shooting on an Alexa and the small insert unit was all Canon gear. I've seen film and digital getting mixed, cheaper crash cams intercut with an Alexa or RED. I'm telling you, it happens a lot. I'm sure you've watched plenty of films or television with mixed media and you had no idea. That should tell you something. So for this video, I'm going to cover 3 examples ranging from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a famous director that's one of my favorites, and from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. If that doesn't keep you watching, I don't know what else to do. First up on my list is going to be Captain America: The First Avenger, directed by Joe Johnston. That Chris Evans sure reminds me of someone. I just can't put my finger on it. Oh well, I wanted to bring this film up because I'm sure a lot of people have either watched it or know about it, and when it comes to cameras, this film was shot on the ARRI Alexa, the Arriflex 235 and 435, which are film cameras, the Panavision Genesis and XL2, oh, and the Canon 5D Mark II. Not to mention Panavision and Canon lenses. Come on, that right there should say something about matching cameras. And let's not forget, that was in 2011. Some of the cameras you're probably holding in your hand now would outperform what they were using. And they had a $140 million budget. Out of all those cameras, let's focus on one camera in particular, and that's the Canon 5D Mark II. The second unit director of photography, Jonathan Taylor, discusses the use of the camera when he says, "I'm always looking to get the camera in impossible places because these kinds of shots make action sequences much more exciting." In the film, there was a sequence involving a car chase that utilized the small size of the camera. The taxicab being chased crashes into a truck with the 5D mounted on the fender to really get a close-up shot of the action, and at the time wouldn't work with the other cameras being used. Taylor describes this shot as a very quick cut, only about 12 to 15 frames, but when audiences see a shot like that, it really brings them into the action. Due to the small size of the camera, it was easy to hide as well. Just a little heavy-duty black foil spray painted to match the vehicle, and you were good to go. Taylor sums up the shot with, "It was much more realistic and enhanced the action better than a stationary shot." Now we have mirrorless cameras shooting 4K and up. We have cameras like the RED Komodo shooting 6K with a global shutter. But I think it's important to acknowledge what was done previously and how well it worked on a big budget superhero movie. Now let's jump ahead to 2015, and next on my list is the movie Blackhat, directed by Michael Mann. When it comes to directors, I've been a fan of him for a long time, from Heat to The Insider, Collateral, and even Miami Vice, if you wanted to check out some of his work. As for the movie Blackhat, Michael Mann really takes advantage of different formats when filming. He's known for his pre-production that's extensive and involves a lot of testing, something I preach as much as I can. Watch all the YouTube videos you want, but doing your own tests is really going to give you the answers you want and need. For this movie, they did multiple comparison tests to see what camera could match the Alexa, and when asked about this, the cinematographer Stuart Dryberg says, "We side-by-side tested the RED Scarlet X, the Canon C500, and the GoPro, with the Alexa as the gold standard for comparison, and elected to use the Canon 5D and 7D as our throw-around cameras." I know we don't always have the time or budget to do that kind of testing, but even at that level, they still take the time to do it because it's important. Not only did they use the Canon 5D, at one point they had 9 cameras rolling, including 4 RED APEX, 2 Phantoms, 2 Canon 5Ds, and 1 Canon C300. If you watch the film, how many people could really point out each camera during each shot? Something to think about. If you go on IMDb, just look at the cameras listed and lenses being used for the film. It might seem crazy, but almost every film I look up tends to have similar results. Another important aspect to mixing media is the color grade, which was done by Company 3's founder Stefan Sonnenfeld. He explains Michael Mann worries more about the overall energy of the shots instead of matching everything, which might sound like they can't match the cameras, but I think it says a lot about the audience and what they care about, what they feel, and what they don't notice when it comes to matching cameras. A better explanation would be by Sonnenfeld when he says, "It depends on the piece, of course, but sometimes when shots are too close and consistent, it can get a little sterile and in a way feel less realistic. Sometimes images go together powerfully in the dramatic context of a scene or a whole movie, but don't necessarily match scientifically." I wanted to throw that quote in there just as another perspective when looking at mixed formats. Something technical that us filmmakers worry about in a film might not apply to the audience watching it. So another way to look at it if asked, can I match these two cameras or these two lenses, would be if nobody notices or can't tell the difference, does it really matter? To finish off this topic, I want to cover something that's current with a twist. That's going to be the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, created by Jon Favreau. Now you're probably thinking, what on earth am I going to talk about with this series? I could talk about the indoor virtual sets using LED walls and having real-time projected 3D environments. This has been covered extensively, so if you haven't heard, look it up. As big as that advancement in technology was and how good the visual effects are on the show, let me just tell you, some of the Razor Crest ship was shot using, of course, the Canon 5D Mark III with a Nikon lens. Yeah, probably not your first thought when watching the show, so let me get into it. In the beginning, as the team started developing the look of the ship using CGI, something wasn't right, so they decided to build a model of the ship as a reference for the CGI artists. Well, that quickly turned into, if we build it, we might as well go old school like the original Star Wars and film it. One of the creators of Photoshop, effects supervisor and chief creative officer at Industrial Light and Magic, John Knoll, began work on creating the shots for the Razor Crest ship using newer technology like 3D printers and CNC machines to build a motion control system from scratch. If you want to watch the entire process, I'll put a link in the description to ILM's BTS of creating the Razor Crest. What they were able to create using a 5D and a motion controlled system is incredible. Now, some of what they did might be for nostalgia purposes, as Jon Favreau points out in the video, but I could see why he might want a model of the Razor Crest in his office. In the end, Knoll explains the finished product as, "The impact of having that model was much broader than the 15 shots that it was in. It made the rest of the CG shots of the Razor Crest a lot better because we used the photography of the miniature to hold the CG model up to a really high standard. In the end, I think it's pretty hard to tell the difference." I would agree. I never would have thought that technique was used in the series. This example was a little different than my previous two, but now we have miniature shots being matched with CGI shots using a DSLR. What I showed is just a small fraction of what has been done and what's currently being done when it comes to matching cameras. I don't want to be the person that says do this or that, but I do want to be the person to present some information to hopefully make your decision easier if you're asking yourself, can certain cameras or lenses match? Well, there you have it. What cameras match RED and ARRI? Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit that like button because there's definitely more in the way. Subscribe so you don't miss out. But until then, comment below about the 3 examples I talked about. And as for this episode, it's a wrap.